We help brands bring all their data sets together, unify it, and build very robust customer profiles and an overall unified customer profile database that basically sits in the center of their marketing tech stack and can fuel all of their downstream marketing tools. Whether those profiles are sent directly to paid media, we have lots of connections directly to Meta or a TikTok, or it can hydrate your email platform, your SMS platform, even your customer support.
In this episode, I'm talking to Megan McDonagh, CMO of Amperity, a platform that's helping brands truly understand their customers to drive growth. They work with large companies like Alaskan Airlines, Wyndham Hotel, and Spark Group. They own Forever 21 and Brooks Brothers. We're going to talk about number one, Amperity's fundraising history. They recently raised a Series D round of $187 million, so we're going to dive into the details. Number two, we're going to talk about the top 5 marketing channels: paid media, events, content, PR, and partnerships. And which of these 5 channels drive the greatest ROI in 2023? And number 3, we're going to try to figure out things like how much revenue they're making per year, what is their CPA or LTV, and we're going to try to figure out how much Megan makes as the CMO. And every time she can't answer a question, we both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Wish me luck, Martians. I hope you enjoy this one. Hello, Martians. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing on Mars. Today, we got Megan McDonagh, CMO of a company called Amperity. And basically, Amperity helps brands understand their customers to drive growth. They work with companies like Alaskan Airlines, Spark Group, which owns Forever 21 and Brooks Brothers. Most of us already know these brands, and also Wyndham Hotel. So big companies. Megan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I think, well, for our team, what really attracted us to your profile and why we had to reach out and get you on the show was your background is incredible. I mean, you've worked at major companies. I mean, now you're working at Amperity as a CMO, but prior to that, you led integrated marketing at Intel. You were there for 21 years, probably one of the largest companies that you can think of. And before that, you worked with a company called Musicland. You were there for a little bit, but a lot of big company experience. So very excited to have you on the show. And also, we're going to be doing some hot sauce on the show.
That's what I'm scared of, Simon.
Yeah. So we connected a while back. I was at the airport at the time.
You were in line at the security. Remember that?
Yeah. I almost didn't make it through. But luckily we did. So we're going to start off the show with a shot of hot sauce. And as the show goes on, I really want to know all the secrets. You worked at big companies. I want to know your secrets to marketing, and particularly at Amperity. So as the show goes on, we're going to ask tougher and tougher questions. And every single time you can't answer a question, we take a shot of hot sauce and we move on. So what weapon do you have on the show for us today?
Oh, gosh. I thought long and hard about this since we talked about it. Because as I told you, usually when I go to, let's say, a Thai restaurant, on a scale of 1 to 4, what do I order? A 0, right? I am scared of hot sauce. The ironic thing is my family, my husband in particular, loves hot sauce and puts really, really hot sauce on everything. And I always tell him that all of his food tastes exactly the same. Doesn't matter what's underneath it, because it all just tastes like, very, very hot sauce. And so we had a fun adventure this weekend, really trying to find a hot sauce that I could tolerate so I could come to this show. So the one that I picked is Co-op sauce. It's a poblano sauce. And hopefully you won't think I'm a complete wimp, but this is made with poblano peppers. It has some spice level, but it does not have anything like a jalapeno or something, or a ghost pepper or anything that's going to set me off. So that is what I chose today.
All right. So, Christmas came early. We're going to start.
Which one are you using?
I'm just going to start off. I've been taking this for the last little while. It's a habanero sauce that I got from Mexico.
Okay.
and Mexicans know their sauce.
They
So
do.
we're gonna start this off.
Look, I even chose a baby spoon for you because I was terrified of a big spoon. So just so you know.
Okay, so I'll make up for this
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay, cheers.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, that's even spicy for me.
Yeah,
But I mean, it does taste good, but it's pretty
yeah.
spicy.
By the way, we are shooting our Christmas special. Hence, this
Yes,
is
I
not the
love your
typical
outfit.
attire. Yeah, it's not what I wear to parties typically. But here we are. We're
Yeah.
recording this is our 81st. We're recording 81st? Is it 80 or 85th episode? I can't remember now. But yeah, it's been quite a bit. Anyways, let's start off. Let's give some love to Amperity first, and
Sure.
then we're going to move on and we're going to talk more about your background. But
Sure.
tell us a little bit about what Amperity does, and
Yeah.
how you guys make money. Let's start things off.
Yeah. So I think you started off by talking about how we help very large enterprise brands to understand their customers better, so they can drive downstream revenue and growth. And so, how do we do that? We help them organize and unify their customer data. So their first party data. So anytime you give a brand your information, your name, your address, your phone number, your any personal identifiable information about you, a brand collects that. We call that first party data. And so we help brands take all those that data. A lot of it sits in different streams or different places within a company. A lot of it's siloed. We help them bring all their data sets together, unify it, and build very robust customer profiles and an overall unified customer profile database that basically sits in the center of their marketing tech stack and can fuel all of their downstream marketing tools, whether it is whether those profiles are sent directly to paid media. We have lots of connections directly to a Meta or a TikTok, or it can hydrate or fuel your email platform, your SMS platform, even your customer support, your Zendesk type platform. It also works with the marketing clouds, an AEP or a Salesforce Marketing Cloud, whatever's in your tech stack that you need to that robust profile foundation to hydrate. It can connect to. So so we work the kind of the messier the data, the better. But if you can imagine. With most of the brands that you like, tell me a brand that you really love and you interact with quite a bit.
Oh, consumer facing or B2B
consumer
or
facing
B2B?
brand.
Amazon.
Amazon.
Give some love to Amazon.
Okay.
We did a lot of events. We did a few events with AWS. So
okay, yeah, and Amazon is a partner of ours too. We do a lot with their AWS side, and actually, we have a connector directly to the Amazon ad network as well. But if you take a brand, like let's take an apparel brand, like you're wearing a cool Grinch sweatshirt. I don't know what the brand is. Let's say that's whatever that brand is, and you interact with them a lot. If you buy with them a lot. They probably have about 5 or 10 profiles of you as a customer because you've gone on, you probably use one email, maybe a Gmail address, maybe one you used a school address, maybe one you had Hotmail, maybe you've moved from place to place, apartments or cities or whatever, or you've given different emails because there's different promotions, you want free shipping or you want to take advantage of a certain promotional offer for new people. So they, the messier, the best customers usually have the messiest data. So we help through AI and machine learning, we help unify and find connections between all those disparate PII sets of data. So they create one robust profile of you. And they would create this profile and understand everything that you've done. Are you in the loyalty program? What's the LTV of you as a customer? What are your interests? What do you usually respond well to? What channels work well with you? And so they can create that robust unified. That's all part of that robust unified foundation So when a brand goes and creates different segments for campaigns, they can use and refer to that foundation to actually build out those profiles. It also keeps track of who is given consent in this privacy and consent world that we live in. It's really important to make sure that you understand if all your data is in one place and that exactly, did Simon give me permission to contact him in different places. That's all in one database and one place that they can access. So it really helps them organize and understand. They also know you better as a customer. They know what you want. Isn't it better when you interact with a brand and they serve you stuff that you're really interested in and that makes sense for all the reactions that you've had? I think there's nothing more frustrating than a brand that sends you an email, the morning after you already took advantage of their sale, saying, "Hey, come take advantage of our sale." And you're like, "They don't even know me. I already took advantage of that coupon code, and they don't even know me as a customer." They serve up product that you already bought. That's a very frustrating customer experience. So instead, we help brands, treat their best customers like VIPs, the way that they should treat them. And also just get the most out of personalizing and making sure that they're talking to their customer in ways that they're going to respond really well to.
This is very interesting because I think when we have a lot, all the guests that come on the show, and when we talk to a lot of the C-suites or like the marketing leaders, we know that there is a huge shift happening in different channels, and it always does. I think. Over the last decade, we've shifted a lot in the way we interact with brands on platforms, and now with the introduction of AI, I think this shift is going to happen faster and faster. A few C-suites have been saying, email might, the quality of emails might start going down the gutter because of the introduction of AI, and so we might start interacting with brands slightly differently. Maybe direct mail is going to make a return, right? So understanding the data is very, very important, and I'm sure we're going to get into it. But this is exciting because you guys have raised a bunch of money. This was also quite interesting because you guys are tackling a very big problem in marketing right now. So just for the audience to understand this relative size, you guys have raised a little bit of money. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've raised Series D, and our last round was $187 million. I think that includes the last round, and that was in June of 2021. So we have the good news is we have money to go and drive the direction that we need to go with from an enterprise SaaS platform that we are in. We have enough money and support, and have a really great investors that are very interested in seeing us succeed. So that's a really good place to be as a company.
I'm going to probe a little bit further, see if we can get some hot sauce out of you. What valuation was that?
At the time that we did our Series D, we were one of 15 unicorns in the Seattle area. Our company headquarters are in Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
And we have a valuation over $1 billion the last time that we did that. Ooh. So yeah.
Wow.
Really exciting place to be. I think they realize the importance, as you pointed out, that a lot of brands are really honing in on getting their data right. And they understand that better data equals better results. And so that's exactly the business that we're in. We help create that better data so then brands can get better results on a lot of the marketing programs that they're driving.
That is $1 billion. I mean, luckily you guys raised before valuations tanked a little bit in 2022. 2021 was a good time to raise, and you guys did just that. I think there were a handful of even Vancouver-based companies that raised at $1 billion valuation. But those are a few. So, obviously, big company. You guys are doing some cool things. Who are some of the notable investors? Like, let's say, name the biggest investor that.
Our biggest investor is Madrona, which is obviously a VC firm. They're based out of the Seattle area, and they are on our board, and they're really great supporters of us. And we get a lot of really good insights from them as well. They're a good partner for us.
Wow. None of my hot sauce shots or questions are working on you.
So thank God, right?
Yeah.
I'm making sure that I can limit my hot sauce shots, but
Okay. So you guys raised a bunch of money. Obviously, investors care about revenue. It's a very important number. What are the revenues sitting at right now in 2022, 2023?
I wish I could share with you, but we are a privately held company, so I will have to take a hot sauce shot for that.
Unfortunately,
I think you will too, right? Is that how it works?
yes. Yeah. So I'm going to go a little spicier.
Oh,
I'm going to go, this one has
What is
habanero
that
and,
called? Mr.
um,
Pecan
s- eh, yeah, Mr.
Picante?
Picante, which means Mr. Spicy, I believe, if I'm
Yeah.
getting my Chinese right. Oh, never mind. It's Spanish.
Okay. Let me know when
All
you're
right.
ready. All right.
I'm
Ready?
gonna, all
Okay.
right.
1, 2. It's that burn on the way down. That I mean, you must have a stomach of steel, literally, for being able to do this week after
Yeah.
week, right?
I
So
think my last time I checked my X-ray, there was no stomach there. It was just an empty
you've eroded it with
parking
all of
spot.
your
Yeah, just a
peppers,
parking.
right?
All right, so
Yep.
revenue unshareable, but I've
Unshareable.
seen online figures ranging from 70 to 100 million
Okay.
online.
Do you
Blink
believe
once.
everything that's on the internet? I mean,
Oh yeah, isn't everything real? Why would anyone want to lie on the internet?
that's right. That's right. Um,
So, but you guys are revenue generating, obviously working with big companies. Can you name, like I've kind of named a few of the ones that I've seen online: Alaskan Airlines, Spark Group, and
Wyndham.
Wyndham Hotel. Who are some of your largest clients? Are these your largest clients, or do you have even larger clients that are
We
unshareable?
have some clients that are as large as the Spark Group, which owns Forever 21, Brooks Brothers, Eddie Bauer, et cetera. But there's some of them uh, that we can't share, but knowing that we do, there are a lot of brands out there that are very recognizable in the consumer space that we work with. And some of the categories you might be interested in are quick serve restaurants, hotels, and obviously airlines, lots of retail. We have many retailers that are on our in different categories of retail products, banks. We have
Hmm.
sports teams, the Seattle Sounders, which is kind of fun to have several of the local teams we do work with, and it's a great way for us to support some of the local community and get involved with some of the local communities, as well as help them out with their customer data, and then for us to use work with them on different partnerships to help entertain our customers as well as our prospects, by taking them to games and supporting their seasons. So it's a win-win
Wow.
for both of us.
Yeah, and you guys probably get free or discounted tickets, so you can bring more
Yeah, we
clients
have a
to
partnership
watch.
agreement, so
Yeah.
which is great. So we balance that out with some entertainment things, and as well as us supporting them. With they give us some content, we help them with their customer data and really understanding their fans better. It's really important for them to understand their fans and who comes to the stadium and why do they come and what do they buy, and how their different lifetime value as well.
Yeah. So Sophie has been screaming in my ear for a few seconds that you didn't share the largest client or customers. So I
Well,
think we're gonna have to do.
Spark Group is one of our largest customers.
Oh, okay.
So
So it
it
is.
is. It
It
is
is. It
like
is the largest.
it is one of the largest. It is one of the largest, and so there's it's one of our larger customers. Because they have
Okay.
lots of brands, right? They have a lot. It's a multi brand customer. Um,
Is it the number one largest?
to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I know of a couple that are almost equal. It depends on, are you saying the largest as far as revenue for us, or largest just size company as a they're a holding company, obviously, or a parent company, or
Oh,
are they?
both. I guess both.
Yeah.
Both. Like maybe
That's a
largest
good
for you
question.
guys.
I don't know. I know we have customers that are almost equally as large as them, at least from an Amperity perspective, but some of those of which I can't share. So I guess I have to take another
Yeah,
shot at that.
let's
But
do that. We're
they are one
sitting
of
at
the largest, and one of our very strategic customers because
obviously Brooks Brothers, Forever 21. These are
Eddie
household
Bauer,
names. Yeah,
Nautica,
Eddie
yeah,
Bauer.
yeah, they have lots of brands. I think they have 7 or 8 brands. So I mean, it's quite many brands that you would know that you would know from the malls.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Cheers again.
Cheers. Woo.
Sophie's just hiding in the corner. She's not
Yeah.
even on
Just
screen, and
asking
she's
us
telling us
me
to.
to do hot sauce shots. Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. We're gonna have to get her back one day.
Yeah, we will.
Gonna
Yeah,
get
we
her
will.
to take like 5 shots. Okay. So large companies, you guys are doing some great things. Let's talk a little bit about marketing,
Hmm.
right? Because this is a marketing show. For you to get these large clients, we've had guests on the show working with large Fortune 100 companies, like the ones that
Hmm.
you're talking about. And usually these sales cycles are really long, and so a lot of marketing efforts are focused around certain channels that allow them to build really good relationships. It's very relational business. Tell us a little bit where you spend your marketing money.
Yeah.
Like which
So
channels?
yeah, I mean, we have let's see, our biggest channel is definitely advertising, right? So paid media. So we do advertise on a LinkedIn, and obviously we do Google search. We based our whole marketing investment based on a buyer study research that we did on how our big brands, how they discovered our company and the process that they go through in order to educate themselves, right? And
Mm.
so, when you're buying a transformational product versus a transactional product, there's a lot of education and research that you have to go through. So we obviously have to make sure that we have all the keywords built in, and then we have to build a lot of education content, depending on where that particular customer is in the funnel, right? And when they are on their journey and in kind of looking to solve whatever problem it is that they're solving. So we do have multiple personas that we talk to. We engage quite a bit with the IT target that are the group that's managing all of the a lot of the PII data inside of a company. We also work quite a bit with the MarTech team. Sometimes that sits in marketing, and sometimes that sits in IT, depending on the company. And they're the ones deciding, do we have all the right technology stack that's going to help the marketing team deliver whatever programs and process they need to deliver. And then we also, as I told you in the beginning, we help brands take their data foundation, their customer data as customer data foundation directly to and directly connect it to paid media ad platforms like a Meta or a Trade Desk or a Criteo, or a Amazon or TikTok, those types of things. And so we do talk to also a paid media buyer, as well as the loyalty marketer, which is more of what we call the retention marketer. So my point is, we have a very vast. We're trying to capture all of these different groups. So probably our biggest source is paid media, really through a LinkedIn and Google search. The next is events. It's really important. You pointed it out. Relationships really matter. Anywhere that we can have deeper connections are really impactful for us. Events is one way to have deep connections and engagements to kind of take different buyers through product demos and discussions on use cases that they're trying to solve, problems they're trying to solve, so we can talk to them about how our product can help them get there. And then we do quite a bit with analysts and PR. So that's another big channel for us, including social, including influencers, and then partners are a really important channel for us too. So we have lots of partner engagements, whether they're another marketing technology partner, like a Braze or a product like that we partner with, or someone that is like a system integrator who also is talking to brands about how they solve particular problems, usually around data evolution or digital transformation, and so they help talk to these brands about how Amperity can help them solve problems. So it's kind of we call it kind of like, how do you look at the wheel of influence that we can get going? What are the things we can do directly? What are the things that our partners can help do? What are the things that the industry is going to help do? And there's lots of things that we do together with all of them. We call that the wheel of influence, right? And we have to get all that wheel turning in order for us to make an impact on these brands, because they're large. We have to impact across the buying group. This product is not decided by one person. It's decided by a buying committee, and so we have to understand the different influence points, and each one of those personas that I talked about earlier have a different need, and they need to hear messaging from a different lens, because they have different. We're solving different problems that are very relevant to their needs, and they're also, how you talk to IT, as you know, is very different than you talk to marketing, right? And so. IT is more technical, and on the marketing side, it's more like, how can you help with their return on ad spend or return on investment? Or we like to say, how do we help you retain your customers better, get more out of the customers you have, and also acquire new customers based on the customer data that you have today? How do you build lookalike audiences and things like that? And so across all of those, we try to keep that wheel of influence going, because it's not one thing that's going to be the magic bullet. There's lots of things that have to be going all together.
Yeah, so much to unpack there. We'll dive into each one. Sure. First, how expensive are your, like, what's the ACV for you guys? The average contract values? Do you have numbers?
Yeah,
off the top of your head?
We don't really share that. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I can't really tell you more than that. But it's an investment, because your customer data is really critical, and getting it right, and then once Amperity is installed and we unify all the data, it updates regularly every night, so we can keep all of those engagements. Like, if you come back to that brand that I talked to you about earlier, we want to make sure that we constantly are keeping an update on what Simon's doing and what are his behaviors, and what are all the attributes that we can collect about him. And some of those change based on engagement, and so it's constantly updating that customer database, so it's accurate whenever you're getting ready to use it.
I think I'm going to puke on this show.
Oh, no. No. Maybe you should go with a lighter hot sauce.
I'll do less. I feel like, all right, so we can't share the ACV, but obviously it's going to be pretty expensive. When you get to the hundreds of thousands, it's not an easy decision, right?
No, we're taking all of your streams of customer data, and we're, making sure it's unified. So, okay.
Cheers.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So,
okay.
Oh my God. We talked about several different channels.
Yeah.
Paid media, events, analysts, PR, and also partners. And I think you also threw in educational content. So content team is probably another piece of
the
marketing spend
content
for you.
Serves all of those different channels, right? Like, what do we link to in LinkedIn? How do we build webinars based off that content? We kind of have the build once model, and you break it up and figure out what channels do you then send that content through. That's pretty standard content strategy practice, right? So the content helps fuel all of those channels. It's very critical to fueling those channels.
And so obviously you guys raised money in 2021. I assume there was a lot of ramp up during the last 2 years. Which of these channels do you kind of keep in-house, and which of these channels do you decide, okay, it's better off to outsource it?
Well, we have, are you talking about building the content, or are you talking about like managing the channel?
Yeah, managing the paid channel. Is it in-house agency events as well? That's another difficult channel. And then analyst PR and
that's a good. I would call it maybe a hybrid of things that we do. Events. We have a great events team who manages our participation at third party events. We run our own annual event called Amplify. That's usually in the spring, and then we do sometimes we participate in partner events. And so we kind of do it depending on what the event is. For example, we'll be at NRF in January and we will have a booth. That's what we do on our own. But then we have partner, dinners, or we have partner other collaborations where we bring joint customers or joint prospects together. So we try to take advantage of each moment in whatever is the appropriate way to do it. So then in paid media, we do have an agency that helps us with, ad placement and kind of media strategy. And then PR, we have both in-house and we work with agencies. AR, we do most of it in-house. We do all of it in-house, really. We work with the Gartners and the Forresters and the, IDCs of the world to make sure that they understand who Amperity is. And we also, influence them on the CDP category and what our points of view are, et cetera. And so, it's just, I would say it's a hybrid depending on what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you're basically sitting at the helm of all of this, managing all of this. It's a lifetime of work that you put in to understand, the 10,000 foot level, but then getting into each one of these categories is a different skill set. So for you as a CMO, which of these channels do you think you are like world class in, that like the back of your hand, and which of these do you kind of rely more on your team on out of these different channels?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if you look at my background when I was at Intel, a lot of what I did was really a lot of strategy work and audience strategy and campaign work. So I'm pretty good on the campaign side. I know enough to be dangerous. I ran very large media budgets, although we had a paid media team that actually implemented it, but you have to understand the strategy in order to get there. So I know a lot about the paid media side. We have a fabulous PR and AR lead that does a great job with that. I know, again, enough to be dangerous on that. And I have a really good product marketing leader who is, really building up our product marketing chops and making sure we have the right messaging and positioning foundations for the different, narratives that we want to bring to life in our content and in the channels that I talked about. So, as a the CMO and leader, I kind of have to know a little bit about all of it so I can help guide and direct. But naturally, I'm more knowledgeable about on the campaign side just because I spent a lot of time at Intel driving very large global campaigns for multiple different personas. So that's kind of that comes a little bit more naturally to me. But I definitely have learned a lot as the overall leader and having to be at least have enough direction and sense on how to guide the team in the other areas.
It's so interesting. We have CMOs come on the show of, large $500, $600 million companies to $100, $200 million companies to all the way, we have founders who founded and grew the whole thing at $40, $50 million. And they were at the helm of everything. And at each life cycle of the company, you almost have to have different skill sets. And I think the larger you get, because you're managing so much, you almost have to just, you use that phrase very well, like know enough to be dangerous of every little thing and know how to call out BS when things are not looking, when things don't look right. But when you get to the $40, $50 million, you're almost touching so many different things that you have to be really good at more things, but just
Yeah.
not as deep.
Yeah, you
It's
do. And
very
that's the
interesting.
difference. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. That was
Yeah, I
it,
was
and I
saying
just wanted to
that's the
point out.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the difference between going, at Intel, I had a group of, 25 people that all we did was drive marketing strategy across the different or personas and categories for PC processors is basically the last job I was in, which is, it was about a $38 billion business. That's a large, pretty large business. And so we
yeah,
had to make sure that we're driving the right marketing strategies to each of those audiences. And we manage really large budgets, but then we had functional teams that would help bring that to life, right? So you stay kind of high level in the strategy, but you have to make sure when it implements that you're following along the execution and making sure that it executes the right way, even though you don't own necessarily the execution. So
yeah,
you by nature kind of understand enough to on what needs to happen, even if you literally are not doing that day in and day out. Because at the end of
exactly.
the day, we can't just throw things over the wall and expect to get it done. You actually have to make sure that all of these things get done. And when I left Intel and I decided that I wanted to go, do something where it was kind of more cross-functional, where I could use lots of different skills that I'd learned over the years.
Yeah,
But I knew I had to get my hands dirty, which is kind of exciting after you work at a very large company. And I had great experience at Intel. When I was there,
yeah.
it was one of the top 10 brands in the world. Like you just
Oh
learn
yeah,
so much. I worked on the Intel Inside program, which is the largest co-op marketing program in the world. At the time that I was there, we put about $1.5 billion of advertising into the market. So like every something like 10 seconds, the Intel bong was heard around the world. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty cool to
yeah.
be part of that type of program. And get to work with some of our large customers on how do we create win-win or joint marketing campaigns that are going to be beneficial to both of our companies and drive, because at the end of the day we're selling the same product, right? Because
Yeah.
they integrated
Yeah.
obviously the Intel parts into their end solution. So I mean that was really fun. But you do get a little bit far away from you don't necessarily, the higher up you get, you're not necessarily doing all of the tactical work, and you get a little bit
Yeah.
away from that. So it's kind of fun to I joined, this is my second startup, and to just get your hands dirty a little bit more, and to
Yeah.
get a little bit dirty in the details and really understand and influence decisions that are a little bit farther down than you're used to. But it's kind of back to basics and kind of fun to do that, and then to see how you grow from there. So it's been a really good learning experience for me. And also you have to think differently as from big co, we call it big co to little co, right? Like
Little. Yeah.
big co, where we talk about this often in my team. We're like, oh, someone will say something like, oh, maybe we think about it this way. I'm like, that's kind of a big co solution. What's the little co solution to that? Like we know how a big co would
Hmm.
handle this, but how would a small company handle this with less resources? And we also have to make sure that we don't get ourselves too process heavy to like be functioning like a big co, right? Because you
Yeah.
still have to be really scrappy and have that sense of urgency until your hockey stick moment comes in a startup. And we're still, although we've done really well, we're still waiting for that larger hockey stick moment. So we gotta be super scrappy until we get there. Not until we get there, and then once we get there, you continue going. It's not like
You're always gonna have different problems.
easy
You're
button
gonna.
and things are easy. It continues to, you just have different complications than what you had when you're smaller. And so
Exactly.
anyway, so like for the stage that we're at, we're trying to kind of go back to basics, I think, and make sure that we're not over processed on some of the things we're doing, that we're getting things into the market that's going to help our prospects make good decisions about our product. So
I love what you're saying, and it's so true. Like for an Intel size company, they're so big, they have such large budgets. It's so process heavy because they don't want to screw up. I mean,
it's
and
needed.
even if they
So
do, screw up, like it's a drop in a bucket. Like $2 million is nothing, but $2 million on a campaign for Amperity, where you guys are at
It's
makes
huge.
a big deal. It's a huge deal. And so you have to think strategically like a big company, but on the execution side, you got to think like a small co. You're kind of in that middle
We are.
versus if you were like seed, series A, everything is startup mode. Everything is on fire all the time. Do you like life like this now where you're kind of in between the startup and the like you're kind of in between small co and big co? You're not necessarily big co, you're not necessarily small co. You're
Yeah.
kind of in between. Do you like life now better overall? Is it more passion, more fire than, or did you like Intel better? Like, do you have a
I would say
preference?
they're different. And I mean, I'm having a blast right now at the company that I'm at. I don't know if you know a lot about Intel, but it's a pretty intense place to work. It's just
Yeah.
every day. So I worked there for 21 years with a rigor, like a startup rigor of like, constructive confrontation was very welcome. So
Yeah.
you were kind of encouraged to challenge just to make sure you were doing the right thing, and so you were used to that, right? That was just a culture
Mm.
that you're used to, and just working really fast. Even though things could take a long time, you're still just getting you're still working really hard on those things every day, right? And the
Mm.
process is real in those companies are really, really important. And it's really interesting. I remember the first time I went to the other startup that I was at, I was like, you just get so used to the process being a foundation to what you're doing. You forget when
Mm.
it's not there, how
Ah.
a little chaotic it can be. I'm kind of in between now. Like the series,
Yeah.
we have a really good foundation, a really good leadership team. There's still things that we obviously, as any company, that you can improve on.
Yeah.
But we really do try to still be scrappy because I think that's where we're the best. When we know we put too much process into it is where we can get a little bit caught up in that versus is perfect the enemy of good, and is good enough to get you going and moving towards what you're doing, and then you can kind of evolve from there. Where if we wait for perfect, is that gonna hold up the impact we could make in the short term? And
Yeah.
so, I think with a startup, you're always kind of running against the clock, and it's like you just need to keep going, right? And you need to
Mm.
you just make sure that you're making something better every day. So that's what we strive to do, and that's actually one of the values of Amperity is make something better today. And we really take that serious, take that very literally and seriously. Is like, how can each person show up and make something better every day? And if we all have that mentality, then we're going to continue to move things forward.
So cool. I mean, look, I think we can talk for hours about this stuff, and we got to move to a different segment in a few
Sure.
seconds. But
Um,
yeah, we can talk for hours. I mean, we still haven't even dove into each one of these channels yet. We could
that's
literally
right.
sit here and talk for 4 hours. But just at a very high level, out of these 4 or 5 different channels, which channel would you say is like a must-have, best ROI for Amperity right now that you cannot live without? Like the MVP of
The
channels.
MVP. Outside of the foundational things like a search, which everybody has, is like you have to capture certain first search words. I would
Yeah.
say that events are really, really good for us.
Yeah.
And it's just I think that's B2B marketing, or that's just B2B for most B2B companies.
Yeah.
Like it's just really important that you're at the right events, that you're connecting with people. The good thing is you can connect with people at all different stages of the buying process. People can learn about you by
Mhm.
walking around. You can set up meetings and one-on-ones. Places where we have an opportunity to really engage in a deep conversation is where I feel like we make the biggest impact. And it is critical for us. Or if it's even our sales team being able to walk around a regional event or a local event to just meet people and to kind of create
Mm.
some face-to-face relationships. There's so many
Mm.
different opportunities for us to build you build those relationships and connect with those both customers that are customers of ours that we don't necessarily get to see all the time, as well as prospects. And also an opportunity for us to introduce our customers and prospects, because as you know,
Mm.
sometimes it makes it more credible when our customers talk to our prospects about the experience that they're having with our brand. There's nothing better than getting a customer testimonial. We do quite a bit of case studies, which are money. They're like so impactful for us. And when we can get our customers and prospects together to kind of have a conversation and have it be really organic, and they get kind of into the weeds on how they're solving different problems, that's like a huge benefit for everybody. So events are often either events that, we create where we bring prospects and customers together. I think I told you we have our Amplify event, which is our own event where we did have prospects and customers coming together and just
how large are those?
How what?
How large are those? Like how many people?
So the last time we did it in New York, we probably had in the 200 to 250 people.
Wow.
And which includes, we had a huge amount of customers giving on panels and wanting to talk. And we actually had more customers that wanted to talk than we actually had room for, which is a really a good, bad problem to have, right? But even if they were just in the room, and we had a lot of breakouts and, happy hour, time where they can socialize. And then some curated dinners to like have different people talk, but let's say they're in the same industry or whatever it was. It's a really good validation for those prospects to hear it from our customers.
Yeah. It sounds like you've really figured out the recipe. Like out of you didn't really tell me the agenda, but just the words that you're using. The guest panels you really want to try to limit because they provide value for the people on the stage, but sometimes they don't provide the most value for everyone. And so, I just smoked my mic. But then it's these breakout sessions, it's the curated dinners. Like these are the things that provides the most impact for the most people. Guest panels are good for the 8 people on stage and maybe a few other people.
They're good for people to hear. The guest panels are good for people to hear because it's like it's almost bringing their case study to life in a live person, right? It's saying this is what, this is problem A and this is how I solve problem A, right? And so that is really helpful. The other thing that it helps us do, to be honest, one of our most impactful content series that we built is replays of those panels and and different clips from those panels. Because again, prospects really like to hear customers validating if a product is helpful to them versus only reading marketing, documentation from the company that's obviously selling them the product. And so it's a validation. So we use a lot of that content in social and in other places, and even our BDRs use it. Our account executives use it, and as they're in discussions with different customers and saying like, oh, you should, maybe there's some, I'm making this up, but there's summary after a meeting, and they send them a video clip. Let's say it's 10 minutes where they have a brand that's in their vertical talking about exactly the same problem that we're selling them a solution for. It really helps to understand the customer point of view. So it's not only really good for that day and for all that integration, but also it's great for us to use afterwards. It's kind of a win-win-win, I would call it.
I love that. Like a panel around testimonials. I mean, everyone is there for Amperity. They all know that. Yes. But then you guys provide so much value. Is it a full day event, like half day event?
It is a full day event. Mm-hmm. Full day event. In New York.
Morning until night kind of thing?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Morning until night. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And so you guys, so that's your big marquee event. I assume you guys host a lot of happy hours and little private dinners throughout the year as well. Mm-hmm. What percent of your marketing budget do you think is for these more highly curated event versus just getting a booth at a large conference, which sometimes could be it's like hit or miss, but we all agree like the best events are these curated ones where you put together. What percentage of your budget goes towards these curated events versus the bigger events?
I would say it's probably like 30-70, only because some of these big, large events they're just expensive, right? Like where sometimes, let's say if we do a curated dinner with, I'm making this up, 10 customers and prospects, the cost of that execution is not high. You're only hitting 10, let's say you're only hitting 10 people. So you have to do it in multiple places. Right. And so, but if you go to, let's say an NRF, it's expensive. It's an investment. Right. it's investment in the booth, investment in building the booth out, and all of that stuff. So
The way
I would
I
say
like
it's probably
to
30/70. Yeah.
the way I like to look at it is like the cost for these curated smaller events is really in the curation, the time to curate. It's not in
Yeah.
the product production value, because really people can eat anywhere. It's just about once you bring the right people in a room, magic happens. It just happens on
Yeah.
its own. Whereas the cost for these big events is the cost is going towards more production value, because you
Yeah.
gotta pay for the large space. Like your money is going into to pay for a portion of that, and even though the curation might not be the best, but you just kind of have to pay the fee for that.
You do. It's kind of
And
the
so
cost of
yeah,
entry. And then you have to get
yeah,
people to your booth, and you have to make sure they know who you are. And and so we do, sometimes we do paid media around that, to geofencing, to say, oh, you're near I'm making this up, the Javits Center in New York. And hey,
yeah,
come to booth XYZ to come see us. And, you can do things like, taxi wraps, and there's a whole there. I mean, they'll sell you anything, but we have to look
yeah,
at like what is the most impactful investments for what we're trying to accomplish for that particular event. And so it really does matter. But those curated ones are really impactful, as long as you create. I mean, it's always our goal to create a really unique experience that's going to get
for
someone to
sure.
say, I'm going to give up my time with my
Oh yeah,
family or whatever to come to
yep.
this event, because it's a really interesting event, and I want to learn about the company, right? And
And
so
each event will make or break the next one,
yes,
because if you don't put enough effort into one, guess what? That those 200 people that came to your event, the word of mouth will be negative for you, and then it'll be
yeah,
not only will the people not re-attend for
yeah,
future events, they will tell their friends not to re-attend. So each
exactly,
one is make or break. But if you do it well,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's
Our
unforgettable. It's
our
the
our large
memories.
event is really, I mean, we did a really good job at making it impactful. And then we're very careful, like, okay, if we want to expand it to the next level, we got to make sure we still get that same awesome experience, even if it's a little better, right? And so we've been
Yeah.
talking about how do we do that. Lots of different things that we're talking about with, but there's a lot of demands on people, right? Like there's a
Hmm.
million events. There's a lot of requests that a lot of these big companies get. If you're ever in the enterprise space, there's a lot of demands from your own company, and there's a lot of demands for people that want your time. And so we're trying to make it. We respect that, and we're trying to make it really impactful if they do choose to join us,
Yeah.
or so
Oh
they choose
man.
to join us. So
Yeah. I mean, I'd love
that's
to.
the challenge.
You and I will have to have a separate call, like round two in the new year, just to talk about events, because this is something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Um, Real quick, I did an event for founders. I've got about
Oh
55
yeah.
founders in a room, and we did happy hour.
Yeah.
And think talking about memorable, there had to be something that separates you from all the other founder happy hours. And
Yeah.
so what I did was I played a. You ever watch Squid Games, the
Yes.
movie?
Yes.
So I played. Do you remember the game, the marble game, where you had to
Uh,
exchange marbles and try to
yeah.
steal marbles from each other? So I
Yeah.
gave each founder 10 marbles, and you had to go around the room and try to win everyone else's marbles.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
the three founders with the most marbles in the end got a chance to talk about their startup and their biggest challenge in front of all the other founders. That was the only time there was ever a pitch at that event, was for
That
the
is
at the end
super
of
cool.
the marble game. So it's very, I know it's very different from enterprise space. I don't not really understanding of what goes on there, although I can kind of guess. But with
Yeah.
founders, limited time, because they're all series A and seed stage,
Yep.
limited time, limited budget, with the very small 1 hour that they have to go out to events. They want to make sure that it's impactful and
Yeah.
not transactional, right? So
Yep.
fun things like that.
Yeah. That
um
sounds like you nailed it. And so, yeah, we try to, we know that for example, at our event, they want to hear stage stuff, but you keep the sessions, it's almost like TED Talks. Keep the sessions to like 20 minutes, have
20
breaks
minutes.
for them to network, especially when you have partners there. They want to network with the customers, and the customers want to talk to each other. And then we want the customers to talk to the prospects. So it's like you have to create all the right setups, but you also have to create interesting content where they're learning about what you're doing next. And maybe there's some industry, industry trends that they want to hear from somebody in the industry. So it's like we're trying to balance all of these different needs for people to make sure that they're going to have a really impactful experience at our event. So, yeah.
Speaking of industry trends, the trends of the salaries of CMOs have been trending a little bit. What is your salary right now at Amperity?
Oh, they do pay me well, but I think I'm going to have to take a shot of that one because I don't think I can disclose that.
All right. I thought I was being sleek. I was just being sleek and just like slipping it in there. Didn't work. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know. Does it get better or does it get worse? You're in a much worse.
My stomach doesn't.
You might have to drink some milk or something after this, don't you think?
Maybe. All right. Wow, we've done a lot of shots. I don't know. We typically will do a joke segment now, but I'm worried because we've already taken so many shots.
No.
We'll shift it a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure.
You've worked at big companies pretty much your whole 21 years. You're at Intel. Did you ever? Was that kind of like your goal? Think back to like young Megan.
Yeah.
Did you always think that you wanted to work at a big company and run marketing, or did you have other ideas?
That's a really
in life
good question.
Growing up?
When I first joined Intel, so I worked for a large entertainment retailer. That was the other company that I started at. And in between, I went to business school and then came back to the same company. So you're probably too young for this, but when people used to sell, we used to sell at Musicland CDs in a mall, where people paid $17.99 for a CD. That's when I first started. Musicland owned about 1,500 different stores, 4 different chains of stores. It was the largest pre-recorded entertainment company in the world. And so I was when I joined their kind of buyer and training program. And so I was a buyer, really interesting to kind of learn the ropes of retail by being in charge of, it's basically like someone giving you a checkbook and saying, okay, you got to decide what products we should carry in the store. And here's your checkbook in order to, we called it open to buy. Here's your checkbook of what you can actually buy to sell in the store. And you had to make sure that the inventory was going to turn and that you had, certain inventory turn rates and all of the other things that you have to manage. So it was a really great training ground for me to kind of understand, how the ins and outs of a company. I did go back there out after business school because they offered me a really good job, and then to run all of their marketing for their electronic software, as well as what they call their trend products. So let's say that there was a new, it'd be like take Taylor Swift. It'd be like the T-shirt, the poster, the book about her. It would be like all that. So they called it trend product. So I marketed all that trend product as well as electronics and software. And that was a really good kind of intro to marketing versus because I was more of a merchant before, and now I was truly on the marketing side. But after I was living in Minneapolis, and it's really cold for me. So I told my husband that I was like, we really need to. I really want to move back to my hometown, to Portland, where I was from. And so I was talking to. I had a bunch of friends that worked at Intel, and so I was hired into Intel to work on a new product that was in their new business initiative group. And it was actually a web tablet 10 years before the iPad. So we basically it was pretty cool to have worked on a product that literally was the similar idea to an iPad, but it was about 10 years too early. The market quite wasn't ready for it. It basically shared the internet connection with your PC. And so you could kind of sit on your porch or your, Bluetooth, whatever Bluetooth distance, like 30 feet from your computer, and scroll on a, touch-based interface. And it actually had walled garden content, which is really apps today, right? That's what an app is today. And so it was literally, it had a wind river operating system, which was interesting. So that
this was
new,
like late 1990s kind of thing.
Early 2000s, yeah.
Early
it
2000s?
was, late 1990s, yeah. 99, 2000. And then we ended up shutting it down about 3 weeks before it was supposed to launch. We actually had retail orders for it, but it just, Intel decided that they wanted to get out of the consumer products business. So I don't know if you knew, but they had the number one MP3 player in the world at the time before the iPod came out.
Was that the Walkman? Or
no, it was
digital.
It was a MP3 player. Like, it was like a digital player.
I remember those times.
Yeah, MP3s. And they had the number one product. This is, again, before the iPod came out. And Apple really figured out how to make a deal with the record labels, right? To get the music on, so you didn't have to rip an MP3 and upload it to your device. That to a human was very hard to understand. It was very early, right?
Like, how many hours did we spend back then just downloading music and putting it onto your MP3? Like we spent a lot of time growing up.
A lot of time doing that. And the business model for that was very hard to understand. And
hard to understand, yeah.
That was my intro to Intel. Like, I came in the consumer products group working on a brand new product that was really cutting edge and super really interesting and fun. So I wasn't really in the core business. And they had lots of other consumer products that they had an AOL chat pad that you could basically like texting with your friends. You have a chat pad, I have a chat pad, we can text each other. So this is all the precursor. The cool thing about Intel is they always laid the foundation for the technology that was coming next, right? Like, I got to work with NBC on the Olympics to do on-demand Olympic content probably 8 years before Peacock ever came out, right, as a service. So it's like, it's all the precursor work. Intel lays the foundation for everything, and then we OEM and we get the ecosystem to build it. That's what they're really, really good at. So that's super fun, right? It's fun because you get to work on a lot of future really cool initiatives, even if they end up dying as an initiative, but then the ecosystem takes off on it, which is really what Intel tries to do. Is how do you make sure the ecosystem gets going on the trends that we see because as long as it sells more processors, right, then it's good for their business. So anyway, I got to work on a lot of really cool things because of that.
What do you think is coming next? You've seen things that worked. Companies invest in things that worked. You've seen companies invest in things that didn't work. You've kind of been through, 2 decades plus of change and innovation. What do you think is coming up next? Like, there's AI, there's a lot of stuff in biotech.
AI, I think we don't even understand how. I've never seen something move so fast as I have with AI. We were born on AI. So our company was founded using AI as the foundation for unifying all these customer data, right? So all these customer profiles. So it's not as if AI just was invented, but AI with the Chat GPT, it's taken off. I've never seen it. I've never seen something be adopted so fast. I just went to a week-long conference where 98% of the content was all about AI, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, are we ready? Are we ready? What do you do first? And I'm constantly telling my team, as well as I have a son who's a senior in college. I'm like, in marketing, I'm like, you better understand how AI is going to change the marketing landscape before you get into a job. Have your professors start talking about that now, right? Because it's changing so fast. Every day there's something new. And so I think that is going to change the world. I also think from a marketer's perspective, and this is, I feel like this is getting overshadowed by AI, and something that Amperity has been following as a trend for years is because of the privacy and consent laws that we're seeing with CCPA in California, and there's probably 10 or 12 other states. The signal loss that marketers are going to see from using third-party audiences is just going to get worse and worse. And if brands have
We've already seen that. Yeah.
We've already seen it. And some brands are they probably just don't know what to do. There's some brands that are really far ahead, a lot of the ones we work with, but there's a lot of brands that don't really know what to do because, to be honest, their agency is probably still selling them those third-party audiences because that's their business model. I totally get why that's happening. But
and
at
they got to
some
make
point,
money. But yeah,
at some
point, it's
point,
going to all shift.
Their return on ad spend is going to be so far impacted that they're not going to have the signals, and they're going to need to own their own database, own their own audiences. And so, are we going to have a Y2K moment when Google starts with the signal loss in Q1? That's where I think they kind of dangled the cookie going away for a long time, and now everyone's very serious about it, and we think it's going to be like that Y2K or that GDP get ready for GDPR moment where you're going to be like, I need a solution here because what I have is not, I'm not getting great results, and so that's kind of getting, in my opinion, a little bit overshadowed by AI because AI is such the big thing. But I also think about a year and a half ago when I was at my other company, the metaverse was the hot buzz, and that has really died. And so
that really died. Yeah,
that has died. And so I think AI is for sure here to stay. It's just a matter of how fast is it all going to happen, and who can keep up with it the most, and where is it going to actually add business value? And so we're looking at all the ways that we can use AI within our product and within marketing to really, make sure we're capitalizing on all the trends. And wouldn't you want great customer data to feed all your AI? Like they were at this conference I went to, we were talking about marketers creating real personas using AI. So you could actually interact with the persona, and you could feed it campaigns to say, how is my campaign going to do in market? Don't you want that all fed by really good customer data? I mean, Amperity is actually set up really well to actually fuel a lot of AI tools. So that's really exciting. So we're kind of structured in a really good place.
This is super. I feel like we're gonna have to do round two. There's so many things that we didn't get to talk to. Yeah, so we'll have to do round two. What you guys are working on is amazing. I'm going to give you a couple of jokes because we're supposed to be on a segment. So how this segment works, and then we'll end off.
Okay.
I'll give you two jokes, and if you can successfully not laugh at both, then I'll take a shot of hot sauce.
Okay.
If you laugh at any of the two, then you got to take a hot shot. A hot sauce shot.
That's fair.
So just poker face, and then you'll be good.
Okay.
All right. Why did the ghost go to rehab?
I don't know.
Because he was addicted to the booze. All right. I should not have done that. If I didn't do the boo, it would have been fine. All right. Okay. You're good for one.
Good for one.
Now you just got to, so the last one.
Yep.
My girlfriend and I, we laugh about how competitive we are, but I laugh way more. I laugh more. All right.
Why is that funny?
God, you got a good poker face. I'm actually planning like a poker night. I'm doing a founders poker tournament in the new year.
Yeah.
I think if you came, you would just take all our money.
Maybe. All right. Maybe. All right.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
All right.
Well, this has been. I was really dreading the hot sauce, and I'm kind of liking this now. Maybe I might have to adapt to poblano sauce.
Yeah. No, you did really well. For the people listening that made it all the way through, you guys are troopers. Made it, and that's an hour and 6 minutes of content. Where can we learn more about you and your journey at Amperity, and just learning about your professional journey? Like, are you pretty active anywhere online?
LinkedIn. I try to be active when I can. I need to make more time for it, but I am active on there. But also amperity.com to learn more about the product and kind of the business problems that we're trying to solve with brands, because it's pretty exciting and it's really important. And I think everybody talks about how important getting the data right is, and Amperity solved the hardest problem in customer data and helping brands get the customer data right through,
Yeah.
10 different patented solutions using AI. So we feel like we have a unique solution, and really want to help brands drive better data so they can get better results. It's pretty simple, what we help them do, and very critical to a brand success. So, treating your best customers like they're VIPs, I think, is the goal of every company. And the better you treat them, the better they're going to be loyal to your brand. So that's a win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah. And when's the next Amperity conference? That big one.
Amplify. We're going to do it in May
Amplify.
again. Yeah, Amplify. We're going to do it in May again in New York. We're just
New York. New
New
York
York.
again.
Yeah, we're just finalizing the actual date and location right now, but probably mid-May in New York. Yeah.
You should do
Exciting.
one in Seattle. I'm just right across the border.
I know. You'll have to come down to a Sounders game, or we'll find something for you. So we have a couple different engagement options. So when you're in town, let us know, and we'll.
No. You let me know when you are planning it, and I will come in. Okay. I'll bring you a couple of hot sauce to try as well.
Cool.
And make things fun. But thank you so much, Megan, for this. Super fun, and we'll do it again in the new year.
That's great. Happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays.
So I hope you liked that episode. Rather than sitting here and telling you to hit that subscribe button or smash the like button, I'll say this instead. Send me a screenshot if you actually liked one of our episodes or you subscribe to our channel, and I'll take the next hot sauce shot with your name on it. Even better, you can come on the show, ask questions, and take hot sauce shots together with the next CEO, CMO, or founder that comes on the show. I hope that you've learned a few things or two listening to some of our episodes. We post every Friday. And finally, if you have any feedback or ways that I can improve the show, let me know. Thanks. See you on the next one.